Right, and you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Hello to everyone. My name is Lisa, and I volunteer with River City Waterway Alliance. I help to restore and protect our creeks, rivers, and waterways within Sacramento, and I had no idea how contaminated our waterways were. I've come to understand the full scope and detriment here, and the level of contamination is astounding. While trying to figure out why our creeks and waterways are such neglected condition, I've worked directly with folks with county utilities and have come to understand that they are so inadequately underfunded and understaffed. As with most budgets, there isn't enough to provide all the necessary duties, but this seems extreme. With the exponential increase of trash and debris removal that has now been required and eaten away at their budget over the last 5+ years, but the revenue generated from the utility bill has not increased since about 1996. From my understanding, they are fee-based and do not receive any additional funds, so they are solely reliant on these. For context, within the Stormwater Drainage Division, there are about 60 employees who work for maintaining our creeks and waterways. 8 are supervisory and 8 are vacant, leaving only 42 field staff to uphold and maintain 280 acres of grass to mow, 260 miles of creeks, sloughs, tributary streams, and waterways to clean, clear, and repair. Our plight is their plight. They care like we do about cleaning the water and health and keeping a healthy environment, but they don't have the funds to do this. They need help and we need help. I'm here today to ask that their funds and budgets be increased for cleaning and debris removal of literally hundreds of thousands of pounds of trash lining our waters, to see how this department can gain access to additional money to support the necessary restoration of our waters. DWR is ultimately responsible for the quality and cleanliness of the channel within our waters, so let them restore it back to how they should be. We are pleading with the Board of Supervisors to help restore our waterways along with us. We feel that no one cares. Please get us on the right track with how California and Sacramento should be in the eyes of the world.
What I've passed out are copies of a May 26 memo from Liz Bellis, our Parks Director. And Liz, you might want to make your way down to the podium at this point. And this was to capture for us some options, budgetary options in terms of the ongoing show of interest amongst this board, and especially Supervisor Desmond and myself. During past board hearings, the entire board will recall, as well as staff, that we had reached out literally in the course of our meetings to folks like the River City Water Alliance and others who are doing a terrific job augmenting the work of our great parks maintenance staff to help clean our parkways, not just the American River Parkway, but Dry Creek Parkway as well. And what we asked our Parks Director for were some options, and she has done that with this memo. She's given us 3 in terms of giving the board some choice about how we might want to augment the growth request for regional parks. So first I want to commend and thank Liz for doing precisely what we asked her to do. And as you can see, the memo is addressed to just 2 out of the 5 of us, obviously for Brown Act purposes at that point. Supervisor Desmond and I did meet with River City Water Alliance along with Liz Bellis, as well as with Regional Sand and representatives from the water agencies to have a good discussion, what I thought was a good discussion about how to work together to think carefully about how we might want to approach the subject of growth request for regional parks for the 23-24 recommended budget. And again, in discussions with Chair Desmond, and I certainly want to applaud his leadership on this subject, what we have come up with is kind of a hybrid of these options, and that's not unusual. That tends to happen when we ask for different ways to approach a challenge. So the hybrid option, if you will, that Supervisor Desmond and I are interested in pursuing is option A, with the $500,000 for contracted trash removal that is referenced in option C. So by my calculus, that means it would be a net of 1.7 million and change for that particular growth request. And that would get us one park maintenance superintendent, two park maintenance workers, two park maintenance worker one, two more rangers, and again, the $500,000 for contracted trash removal.
Let's see, we've highlighted this at several board meetings when we've heard from many members of the public about the condition not only of the American River Parkway, but the entire system, all the creeks, including Dry Creek and Arcade Creek, and I think especially that additional $500,000 would be available, almost just as Supervisor Hume had it sounded like he had described, would be available to support these efforts to pick up trash in some of these other smaller waterways. So. And it's unfortunate that we don't have representatives from River City Waterway Alliance. This is one of the few meetings they've missed in recent months. But, you know, they deserve a lot of credit and absentia here in terms of, you know, I think really giving us cause to reconsider what we might do this budget round. And so this as much reflects, I think, their interest as it does ours. They're not here because we wouldn't let them put the bucket on top of the on the podium anymore.
So that would be my ask, and certainly let our chair speak for himself. But I know that he's invested quite a bit of his time in being thoughtful about this as well, and would respectfully ask my colleagues to consider it.
Hume and the folks at River City Water Alliance, and I definitely see the importance of the parks. It's catastrophic. The pictures they show are just, it's unbelievable, the mess. And they're doing a lot, and they're volunteering to do it. And it would probably cost us a lot more to do what they do, is in general what I'm thinking. So I definitely want to go on record as supporting Supervisor 𝐸𝐶rna and Desmond in their endeavor to put more resources toward the parks and the encampment, enhancing the response on the encampments at the parks.
Obviously, I joined Supervisor 𝐸𝐶rna in proposing the additional funding for our Parks Department and also additional funding for trash pickup along our waterways.
Parks cleanup, 1.7 million plus 500K.
No, 1.2714 and change plus 500K for 1.7.
Okay, so 1.3 plus 500 essentially.
Yeah, correct. Option A on this, okay. Plus 500, right?
So I have a question for you on the parks and parks cleanup money. As you know, we have $5 million remaining in reserves for work related to homeless on the Parkway. I would argue this is related to that, and wondering how you all feel about using some of that for this, since we now have the $25 million for the Parkway that we did not have when we set this reserve aside.
I would respectfully say that it should be additive and it should not come out, only because we're still, even with this funding, I think we could all argue that we're still behind the 8 ball in terms of resources for the Parkway. So I would respectfully ask my colleagues to think of it as additive to the $5 million, but let's not sit on the $5 million too much longer in terms of its designed use.